shortly. He's going to talk a little bit about, himself, obviously, and then his philosophy of painting and critiquing. And then we're going to move right in to the critique. And if you guys would stay muted during that process, so he can just move forward without any interruptions, that would be great. If we have time at the end, we may open it up for questions, but basically this is, a presentation by him, and we just want to keep it rolling. If this is a success, then hopefully we'll ask more people to submit, and we will have a different guest artist critique each time, and maybe a return, who knows, if Guy does a great job. But anyway, so this is free only to members to get the critique, but anybody can watch the critique, and we think that's a nice value add for members. So again, I'm Susan. I'm the current president. Vicki Wilson is our workshops director, and that's for anybody who doesn't know. So welcome, Guy. He is our fantastic artist who will be giving the critique. Welcome. Take it away.
All righty. So, God, I have been painting all my life, and it's just something that I've always done. And it's like, as a child, I was always asking questions, or always looking at everything and taking snapshots, mental snapshots. So that's how that looks, or this is how this edge is. And just through painting, it was like recording what I was living through or seeing and everything. I wanted to go to art school. And when I was a kid, in the matches, they had the, can you draw this? And I would send it in, and I would get all of these schools sending me their catalogs. And my dad kept saying, oh, you can't be an artist. Artists are starving, and you have to come up with something else. So I took art at university, but I did not like my instructor. So what I did was I went to fashion school instead, and I became a fashion designer, believe it or not. And so I did that for a while, and then started doing a lot of illustrating. And from the illustrating, I eventually I always painted, but then all of a sudden I started painting more. And I had ended up with a corporate job, and it was very creative, but it wasn't creative in an artistic way. And so when 9/11 happened, everything kind of shut down, and I decided right there and then, this is what I want to do. And I was laid off from my job in 2002, and I took a year off to paint, and I've been painting ever since. And in 2007, I became a full-time artist, and I've been teaching everywhere, and just having a ball, been published in splash books and things like that, and some videos and all of that. But I love teaching. I love seeing people struggle, but then all of a sudden I see people, all of a sudden they get it, and it's wonderful to see their growth. And for me, it's very exciting. And I also learn a lot from all my different students. So everybody has a different approach. Artists all, we might be using the same medium, but everybody has a different approach and a different way that they work. Some are plein air, some are loose, some are really tight. But there's certain design elements that are common with everything. And so I was very happy to, Susan approached me, and I was really happy to try this out to see how it was going to work out. And so with that, I think, I just wanted to say, so if you go to my website, I am now teaching in person again. And so I have like a Wednesday day class, but that's filled up. So I'm starting a Tuesday day class, and that's getting filled up. I also teach a guided class on Fridays. And it's all on YouTube, or yeah, it's on Zoom, and I record it to YouTube. So you get a link, it's all recorded. You get a line drawing, you get the photo reference, and then you can follow along. And there's some benefits in just seeing how I approach an image. And I'm really big on technique. And just to say that, now I'm going to go ahead and go into what was submitted. And it was so much fun to see all of the different images and what people are doing. So with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and go to share screen. And here we go. And the first one up is Cindy Ling. And she had a question about focal point and how to finish. And I love this image. And these—
Did you make it full screen?
Oh, yes. Is that better? Am I there? Can you see?
Yes.
Okay, great. So these are, here are a couple of my suggestions. So down here, I've got a red ellipse. And right here, it says the side of the house and the tree need to be linked together in a more defined way. And I also think the blossoms up here were done really well. And I would like to have seen, so there's distinct edges and loops and holes. And I wish there was a little bit more of that right up in here. And it's nice and loose, and you just need a little bit more structure to join the shapes. And then with the blue arrows here, I've got some blue text, and it says darken the underside of the eaves and the shadows in the window to bring the house into focus. Your darkest darks are down here. And if we, so this is where my eye is kind of going, because your darkest darks are there. If I had a little bit more darks right up in here, it would define this more. And we need to bring this house to this tree. So there's a straight line right here. And I'm going to go back to the original so you can see it without my markup. So there's this line right here that, and it's separated here. So right in here, there just needs to be a little bit more lushness of color and value. Does that make sense? Cindy, I hope that helps.
So are you saying that the tree line is too obvious?
Yeah, I love how you broke the tree trunk up with the blossoms coming off. But right in here, what I'm seeing is this, and what I need is a little bit more detail here, because I'm not quite sure. Right here, there's this empty space. Mm-hmm. You've got some darks and structure here, and you've got a nice line here and your tree. But right in the middle where these two mesh together, it doesn't mesh enough. There's not enough distinction there. Does that make sense?
Well, I guess not really. I mean, I understand about what you're saying about the eaves and putting the dark there. But are you saying, because see, to me, it's a hard edge there from the house to the trees. But are you saying make it more contrast?
Okay, yes. So you have a mid-tone right here. You have a mid-tone right here. So there's a straight edge here. There's a straight edge here and a straight edge there. We just need to link these together a little bit better so that they're linked. It's almost like an empty space.
I see. So I could put a window or something there and tie it to the trees?
Yes. And that would make this so much stronger. So this is your darkest dark. So if you just put a couple of darks in here underneath here and somehow tie this in. Okay. Okay, because I'm not quite sure. It looks like the sun is, I'm pointing, but you can't see what I'm pointing at. It looks like the sun is coming this way, and this is the side of the house I'm taking it.
Yes.
Yeah, so if somehow we have to nestle the trees behind or in front, but right now, this is just an empty space.
Okay.
Okay, beautifully done, really nice and loose. I love your sense of color. I just want you to be aware that wherever your darks are, we want to have some of the darks out over here too, and to pull this in. That's all.
Okay.
Hey,
It's
Guy,
beautifully done.
Guy, this is Susan. No, we can see your little cursor moving.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I'll use a cursor versus pointing with my finger.
Okay,
And
thank
and Cindy, it's beautiful. I love it.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your tips. Okay.
And then this is Linda Baxley, and this is her banyan tree. And a question that I got was how to be more interesting and tips on plein air. Well, I used to do plein air painting when I had a lot more time, and it was just mind-boggling for me. I don't know how you guys do it because so much is happening. A bird is, going here, or what's happening over there. And I have such ADD as it is. I'm just being pulled this way and that way. So what I do is I just do really quick sketches. And I also take a lot of photos because as you're painting, that the sun is moving, your shadows have changed, all of your shapes are changing. And those are really my tips. That's all I can say. I'm not a great plein air painter, but I really enjoyed looking at this, and these are some of my suggestions. I just want to be careful. Oh, let's see here. Let's go into here. It says bring some of the yellow color into the bottom, from the bottom background into the base of the tree trunk. So you have this wonderful yellow color, and I would like it linked into the trees here. So it helps to anchor them, and it helps to anchor the background into the tree so that they're together, they're not so separate. And I would also round out some corners of the tree trunks. So maybe I would round this corner and this corner over here. Does that make sense? Because it's also angular.
Mhm.
And it's not like we have to know which branch is in front and which branch is behind and all of that, but there are a lot of sharp angles. And if we just soften some of these, it would help. And then the bottom edge of the greenery is too horizontal and cuts the painting almost in half, and that's right here. So I like how you brought some of these down, but it's still kind of a straight line. So if we rounded some of this out a little bit more, that would help.
Okay.
And then overlap some of the hanging roots. So I know that these are the aerial roots coming down, and what's happening here, like, all of a sudden they're coming right out of the foliage like this, which is okay. But let's have some of these. I wish I could blow this up more, but maybe the roots could be coming from the undersides of the edge of the tree trunk or the branch, and that would help. And also, they're all kind of ending all at the same place. Maybe some of these could be overlapping the bottom of your green, and they're all kind of clumped together. Maybe we'll space them out a little bit, if that makes any sense.
It does, and like you said, with that green line, it's the air roots are ending at the same place as well as the green, so they're
right. So yes, so if they come down, see, like right here, it comes down.
Yeah.
And right over here, it comes down. So if that extends beyond that line, that helps to link the upper, because it's so cut in half right here.
Okay.
But I love this image. And I think by just incorporating some of that yellow in here, it'll link everything together better.
Okay. Thank you. Very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's a fun image. I love these trees.
I just think
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
I just thought it was a little boring, so that's why I want more, but I understand the half, and maybe that'll make it more interesting.
Yeah, and I think just by putting some more color in here,
Mhm.
bringing some of these down and spreading them out and softening them up.
Yep.
Also your darks. So with your darks, we've got some brown darks and they're all the same. So maybe you could punch up some more of your darks and it'll make it a little more exciting.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And then we've got Dale. And Dale's question about this was the blue, the blue flower. Somebody asking me a question. The blue flowers, and then he put a background instead of a sky. And I don't know if Dale is with us or not.
Dale is
Dale
here.
was here, but just disappeared, so I'm
Oh,
not
shoot.
sure.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll go ahead, and this will be recorded so we can see it later. But what happens is there's so many separate shapes in here, and I'm going to go to show you this. So there's a separate shape here, there's a separate shape there, there's a separate shape here and there, and all of this, it makes it kind of disjointed, almost like a puzzle piece that we could put together. The bird really stands out, but the background isn't supporting the bird. And then, so we've got like it's a patchwork. And I think if we link these together and soften them together, it will help and not be so disjointed, and it'll give more, it'll support the bird that's here. And what I'm seeing is that Dale likes to paint a lot. And so
Thanks. Yeah, I got back.
okay, so we've got a flower here, we've got a stem, and we have all these little leaves and everything. And then all of these stems are coming out. And I think if we don't put a stem to every flower, or they don't all have to end or begin, what will happen is it won't look like somebody just poked something in there. And so this is what I did was I went into Illustrator and I just softened out some of the edges here so that it's a little bit more seamless. And I added some color right in here. And so if I go back to this, do you see how separate all these shapes are? Even though there's a soft edge, the brown ends here, the green ends there, this wonderful yellowish taupe color ends right up here. Same thing where you've got some nice shadow shapes in here, but let's put that bird and sink it in. And just as an idea, and I darkened in a little bit in here and tried to link some of these, and the bird is a little bit more in focus. So I would just consider not painting different shapes, but we need to consider how they're going to link together to make a whole. Does that make any sense, Dale?
How a little bit. Can you go back to how you would change it? I'm a little confused. So you said that maybe I thought about putting more flowers on the right-hand side. So you're saying that I probably should do that to give it more balance, and maybe put some leaves on the stems. Is that right?
What I'm saying is you're giving here. I'm going to go back to
There we go.
So right in here, you've got two flowers, and maybe you could just add a blue flower or a blue flower, and it doesn't need to have a stem.
Okay.
And so what you're doing is you're giving each flower a stem, and you're making it really important that we see it. But this is your focus here, right? Your bird.
Right.
So maybe not spend so much time with the flowers. Maybe you'll put a blue flower here or a blue flower there, but they all don't have to have a stem, and they don't have to have all of these leaves. Same thing with these. Maybe if you break up or just have some more dark greens in here so that the stems aren't so floating or they look like they're poked in.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you. That helps a lot.
Guy, this is Susan. So on the one where you made the changes, could you go to that one? And just
Yes.
show her where you softened the stems up top?
Well, I kind of softened a little bit up in here, but I would add more interest up here and down here. I tried to stamp. I don't do this in Illustrator, so I was learning how to do this. But I would just add maybe a blue flower here or a blue flower there. But like I said, without it doesn't need to be explained. Were you working from a photo?
I was, yes.
Okay, so and because you had asked about a sky and you put a background in, but just linking everything together. Do you see how seamless this is here?
Yes.
And that helps. So we don't need to have every single flower be attached to something because this is your focus. And you did a great job on his eyes and his face and his beak and everything. But I just want you to think how everything relates and moves around. So if we pay particular attention and make this flower precious and this flower precious, and each of these things are precious, we're losing focus, which should be your bird.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, that's really cool. Thank you.
Oh, very nice. Very nice job. And now we're at Wendy. So Wendy wanted to know how to simplify this. And I love the image and I love how soft it is. And I definitely see the ray of light in here. And it's very loose, very quick, and there's a lot of color. And I love the sense of movement. So there's a sense of movement in the water, and there's a sense of movement in all of the foliage. And here's a couple of my suggestions. So again, this one is almost cut in half, but you've got a link down here that comes down, so that helps. But there's this branch that comes this way, and there's some trees. So I just have a wonderful sense of movement in this image. And let's see, this intersection is not reading well. Let the water flow down. It's interrupted as is. Okay, so right here, and I'll go back to the original image without this to explain what I mean. And then also this area is in the shadow, and this area is in the light, but this is so much darker than what it is over here. And this is in the shadow. So we can enhance that. And by adding some darks in here, we can adjust this intersection right here where there's water and rocks. And let me go back. So do you see how I'm assuming this is water? I'm assuming this is water.
Yeah, it was supposed to be.
Yeah, so this should be flowing down, and you have a broken up right here. And then you've got a rock here and you have some water coming here. So maybe if we get this darker, or you could break this up. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because this is now looking kind of like a rock because it's ending. And if
the water should come over from the left into that right fall. Is that right?
Yeah, so right in here, this should be coming down, right?
Right, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interrupted right here. And if so do you see how dark you are here? And I love the bit of blue in here, and I love the bit of red in there. And this is in the shadow. Here's where the light is. So if we have a little bit more darkness in here, you can explain this a little bit better.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so I don't know, maybe you could even round this off, because if water is coming around and then coming down this way, so if the water is just coming down here, that will help so much.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love your branches, and I love how some of them are light and then you've got some little darks here and there. I would just add a few more, like you have a little bit over here and there. I love the sense of movement. It's wonderful.
Thank you. Well, thanks for the tips. That's-
Sure. And yeah, so I love how you've simplified. The other one that you had sent was the Dead Horse Creek, right?
Right.
Yeah, so with what I was explaining to Dale, you know, with it there being so many separate shapes, if you link them together, that will help.
Okay.
But I love this one. So I had to do this one. I'm sorry I didn't do Dead Horse Creek for you.
That's okay.
Okay. And then this is Tina. And I don't know if Tina is here with us, but it's a lovely and pleasant painting. And I want to go there right now. So I just have a couple of suggestions, and that is, when I squint and look, and I'm always squinting to see the separateness or how things are linked. When I squint, I'm not seeing a big separation between the sky and the water, even though this is a cooler blue and there's some green in here and there's a little land cutting this off. When I squint, this is almost all the same. The sky is usually lighter than our water. So we could change that by adding a little bit more in here, okay? And then what I'm seeing is that the sun is out here somewhere. And so we've got these wonderful shadows, and you've done the shadows beautifully. And then all of a sudden we've got these really hard shadows over here. So I'm kind of confused by where the sun is coming. So this is almost dark, if not darker, than what's happening right in here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, they're
So-
actually, it's this creeping reddish growth, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, it doesn't really look like it's alive.
Yeah, so what happens is, to me, they're treated almost the same way as your shadows. So I wasn't getting that was growth.
Yeah.
So I would adjust that. So when I'm painting, I'm always looking at things and where's the light source? How am I going to do a shadow? And once I have that shadow down, if we're going over here, if this is something that's growing, we need to show that it's growing. And maybe we needed some light on here to break it up, because it's looking like a shadow to me.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, but you did this beautifully. In here, I would just add, you have some wonderful darks and you broke this shape up. And I still see all the grasses and branches and all of that. And you started putting some darks in here, but maybe if we had a little bit of dark in here, these leaves that are in front of it will seem more in front of it, and they will seem more vibrant. So you have a nice painting, but we want to add just a little bit more drama in some of these areas. So I would have a few darks, like how you treated this in here. I would add a little bit more and maybe surround some of these. And then down in here, what happens is, as I'm looking at this, there's intersections in here that break it up. And we could have a couple of more intersections of dark in here. And that will help break this up. But it's a lovely painting. And like I said, I want to go there.
Great. Thank you.
Tina, this is Susan. Where is that painting from?
It's a combination of photos. So I started off with a photo that's probably from the East Coast, and then I ended up putting in kind of this Monterey Bayish view out. with the sailboat. I'm just hoping our sailboat gets done soon. We've been having issues with our sailboats. I'm painting all these pictures with little sailboats in them. Hoping to go sailing this summer.
Okay, well, thank
How
you.
nice. So yeah, so just be careful when you're working with different photos to make up a composition. Just be aware of where your light source is coming from. That's all. So breaking some of this up, it'll get this a little bit crunchier. Adding a little bit of darks in here will give it a little bit more interest and pop. And by just adding a little bit to the, separating the sky and the water a little bit better with maybe a different hue in here.
All the way to the horizon.
Yeah, well,
Right.
yeah, it's just when I squint at this, and I'm gonna go back here, it's, even though they're different colors, when I squint, they're almost the same.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
but beautiful job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then we're now with Tanvi. Oh, pretty good. And I really enjoy looking at this. I mean, there is such a bullseye and everything is moving in and it's loose enough and it's colorful. You got interesting shapes. It all links together well. And here are my suggestions. So add some darks to the water and the shadows to enhance the focal point. So you've got this wonderful dark right here, but let's put some of that dark here and right in here. So your bullseye is going to be even sharper and crisper. You're bringing it into focus more. And then right in here, we've got the water and you've got your ripples. Let's give this just a little bit more interest by putting a couple of ripples, maybe something around, and it's a dark or mid-tone color. So add some squiggles to add the ripple effect, creating more movement. Is Tanvi here?
Yes.
Yes, she is.
I'm here, yes. Hi,
Tanvi, I love this image. It's beautiful.
thank you.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do
Okay.
understand. I thought, I am worried about the edges, where the boats hit the edges. I'm wondering if there's too much contrast there. And if I should, where the boats hit the edges of the image, the three boats, how dark it gets, yes?
You mean like right up here?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if that's taking away from these three figures and the ripples.
Well, I think if you get this darker, this isn't going to be competing. All of these are pointing in. And if we get, like I said, if we get some of these dark, just a little bit darker, because here's your lightest lights, and having the dark right there, it's going to help pull your darkest darks and your lightest lights are going to be telling us where to go. All of these shapes are pointing in. So just by enhancing and getting some of these shapes in here darker, as dark as you have it here and right in here, is going to help this be more of a bullseye.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, so I wouldn't worry about all of this. Do this first and then see what you think about having these so dark at the ends where the edges of the boats are coming off the image. And then if you just add a couple of little squiggles, I love how you work, and I love how you're working with your colors, wet and wet, and then layering also. So you have a wonderful sense of movement. Let's just give it a couple of squiggles over it.
Okay, and does the middle boat, the one that's touching the top frame, does it look too upright? I mean, the perspective, I know we're looking down at these people, but is the top boat too upright in terms of drawing?
I I understand what you're saying now, but I think with once you do all of this, I think some of those things will not be so important.
I see. Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yes, I understand what you're saying as we're seeing the top, but it's the side of the boat. And this is almost like a bird's eye view.
Yes.
But I think with just a couple of adjustments, that will help out.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. I love this image. And then we've got Uma Kelker. Is Uma with us?
I'm right here, Guy. This is great. You're doing this.
Oh, this is a beautiful image, and you had another image of the trees, which were just wonderful. You have a masterful approach to painting, and the only thing that I see in here that I would adjust is this is so bright and so in the middle, and to me, it's like this is where you kind of want to have your focus. So I would just have this lighter around this person and maybe just tone down some of the brightness here so that we're seeing all of this. So it's wonderful. I love it. But do you see
Yeah,
where
I
this
totally
is?
see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is really pulling all of my attention. I love your sense of drama, your dry brush work, your wet and wet, everything. I would just tone this down a little bit. And, you know, because we want this person and this person to stand out a little bit more. It's gorgeous.
Can do. We'll show it off after I've edited it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And this is Oksana. Wait a minute. No, this is Svetla. And her question was about perspective and how to improve. Excuse me. What these blue flowers look like they're glowing, which is a wonderful thing. You want things to have a glow, but what happens is that they're glowing so much that I'm not able to see anything. And what I would do is I would just cut in around these, because you've given us a lot of crunchiness or a lot of explanation on the flowers, like where the centers are and they're fluffy and all of that. But then when we get to the perimeter edges, they're not explained. And so that's what's giving us this glow. And so it's almost like we're moving in and out of focus. And so this is what my suggestions are. Ooh, let's see, this thing is blocking. So like I said, let's cut in to give these some crisper edges here. And I like the dark that's out here, and maybe we can cut in with a little bit and blend it out, because you've done a wonderful job of blending. And this is either oil or acrylic versus watercolor. And so you do a wonderful job of softening and mingling your colors together, but we need to have a crisper edge in a lot of these areas. Not everything has to be crisp, but a lot of it has to be crisper so that we have a sense of what this is. Does that help at all, Svetla?
Guy, this is Susan. I saw Svetla on earlier, but I don't see her now, so I'm not sure if she dropped off.
Okay, so just by cutting in and crisping up some of these edges and then having it deeper back here, that will help. Because look we've got a wonderful edge here. This is fully explained, but then out here, they're not explained. And so that's where this is getting a little confusing. So if these were crisper, like we've got this wonderful crisp edge here, and all along there, even though this is kind of lost, if we crisp some of these up with having some of another color back here or back in here, and then just softening it out, it will help this so much. And yeah, so when I first saw this, I was going, wait a minute, is this watercolor? So, and now we're with Oksana. And Oksana, it's so loose and so vibrant. And so there's so many wonderful strokes in here. And I love how you've layered your colors, but at the same time, there's a looseness to this that I absolutely love. There's, and let me go to where I was, some of my suggestions. So nicely handled landscape, loose but controlled. When adding a bright, oh, I forgot to, so I've got these red, green, and blue, but I forgot to put my type in here. So let me explain this. When adding a bright color at the edges, you're going to pull focus from the image. So pay attention to what's going on, what's going to be underneath, because you have some interesting shapes, and soften the edges so they don't cut the shape off. So for instance, we've got rocks coming out here. We've got a tree line over here. And over here, we've got some rocks with water coming down and more rocks over here. And when you put, and there was a line over here. So when you put this bright color in here, it added a lot of interest, but maybe I would have softened up the color in here or added some water so that we could still see some of this lightness that you have here, a sense of movement over in here. So, and same thing in here. Because it's really pulling. It's so bright and they're right at the edges. And then just take it off. Take it all the way off over here. Okay. And then I'm not under, okay, so this should be green. And this is the area I'm talking about. First of all, I love the rocks. I love how you've done them. I love all of this. So I'm seeing the water cascading and moving in this area. And I see all of your water foaming and rushing. And then right down here, I'm just a bit confused. I don't know if these are rocks or if somebody was putting wooden planks in there for a dam or whatever, but these, if these are rocks, these are, they're straight, but they're a little bit rounded and they're grouped together. And then here it's just like you were, I love the spontaneity and how you put them down with all of your conviction, but maybe we needed to link these a little bit or have them just a little bit softer at the top because I'm seeing where the water is running through. And I like what you did over here. So it's giving a sense of movement of water, but this is just throwing me a little bit. And then right in here, this should have been blue, forgive me. This breaks up the looseness of the image. If it was painted horizontally with some loose strokes, it would enhance the looseness of the image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. And so all of this looseness in here, and then all of a sudden we've got these coming down, it kind of broke up how loose and soft all of this was. So maybe if we had some of this going that way and not doing so much of your dry brush work, where you put your brush down and pulled it down with a lot of force so that it has this dry brush. I like this. I just want this softened or explained a little better. Okay. And not so much in the water here, that there's a softness and a looseness and there's big shapes. And all of a sudden we're getting this dryness here, and it just pulls from what's happening up here. But I love this image and I love the sense of light and play. I hope that was helpful. And in here, this, because we're seeing it larger instead of, you know, this cut up version of me with my explanations, which you can see now. So we've got these wonderful lines here, or a wonderful tree line, and down in here. So when you put that bright color in here, all of this kind of got lost. So just be careful about when you're putting something down and how you're going to handle it or soften it or bring it into the painting. So it's just not at the right or the left. I hope that was helpful. It was so much fun to see all of these.
Yeah, thank you. So I think, guys, is that everyone? Did you get through everyone already?
I did. Oh my gosh.
You're very fast.
And I was worried. I thought, oh my God, we're going to go over.
So if anybody has some quick questions for Guy, we did plan on going to 11, so we have about 10 minutes. And then the other thing I would say is that we may ask some of you to go ahead and make any changes that you heard, from Guy today. And if you don't mind, you can submit them to me and we can include them in the next newsletter. So we can kind of let everybody see what goes on in this critique session. So if anybody's willing to do that, that would be awesome. Send me a before and an after for the next newsletter. If you want to do that before, let's see, what's today, the 12th? In the next few days, we could even get it into the May newsletter. So totally up to whoever wants to do that. So anyway.
No pressure though, right, Susan?
No
right.
pressure. So any questions?
I had a bit of audio. Mine was the Falcon. So I don't know if you can go back to the Falcon. At the very beginning, the audio seemed to fail for a few of us, right? So I kind of caught it.
Sure. Actually, let me do it another way.
And please note, everyone, again, I'm repeating myself, but this is being recorded. So you can go back and look at it. And I'm sure the audio will be fine in the recording.
Cool. Yeah, I was relieved to see I wasn't the only one. Just as he started the Falcon, my audio failed, and I saw a couple other people's did too. So I dialed back in and got the second half, but it was just.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Guy, are you going to unscreen share or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to stop share. I'm going to go overhead. So this is, whoops, my screen just jumped. This was what was sent, and I just softened some of this stuff out so that it's a little bit more murky instead of crisp edges. Do you see right? So I just softened that out. And sometimes what I'll do is if I might just, murk it out a little bit more just so that we're not seeing such a big, all these stems and things. And maybe just murk it up a little bit more by adding some darks, and where we don't have to have every single flower and stem be such an important part of this. And if you're just murking it up, for lack of a better word, and then down in here, maybe we'll do the same thing, just so that, I see a big difference from here to here. Do you see how I just added a little bit of dark into this? And that kind of helped. Just give it a little bit more. Do you see what doing this versus having something like that? So wow,
in 2 minutes you just made it 100 times better. Thank you. That was my question. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, good, great. And
awesome.
And like I was saying, maybe we'll just put another flower here or another flower here, because you've just got a little something.
Okay.
Versus having this fully explained. Maybe we just have a little more something here. where it's not, they're just jumping out at me.
You know,
And
that really, it's great.
do you see how this is, your falcon is more in focus now?
Mm-hmm.
So that, I just want you to, and especially because you're working with a photo, it would be so helpful for the, if Susan, for the next artist that's going to be doing this, if people are working from photos, we should also have their photo reference. That would be helpful too. And yeah, so just by doing a few things like that will help so much. And you could see where I've put just a little bit of texture right in here also. So this bird is coming out more.
Awesome. You know, I just started painting last summer. I painted my first painting last summer, a cupcake. And so I really am trying to learn as much as I can. And looking at what you did here is just 100 times better. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. You know, you have a sense of play. So now what I'm going to start asking of you is to start looking at things and painting what you see versus what you know. It helps so much because when you're looking at a photo, you know what you're looking at, but not everything is in focus. And so
Right.
it's really hard when you're first starting out because there's so much, you know, where do you start and how do you link all these shapes? And I just want you to squint when you're looking so that you can see how these all should fit together a little bit more. By having this rounded out and not giving so much attention to every single little thing, this will become a lot, it's more nestled into the background. And yeah, so keep painting. It's fun, it's a fun discipline. It's a fun focus. Good job.
It really is. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Guy, I had no question. I just had a comment, and the comment was that you did critique really beautifully. You had the notes written down with color-coded comments. I think that showed dedication. I appreciated it, and you left everybody feeling good about themselves. So,
Oh, wonderful.
which is important because when you're getting feedback to improve, you want everybody to feel that they can do and should do.
Right,
So
right.
thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. So I've got the Gamble Gardens here. Can I show just a little bit on what I meant?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go back here. So here's Gamble Gardens, and I love how these flowers were treated, or the blossoms, how they ended up, the edges. And this kind of got a little murky here. And what I wanted was, I wanted just a little more definition, or these to be explained. And I don't know what's going on here. And that is my big question. And this, like I said earlier, here's where a lot of the deep darks are. So we need to have some of those in there. So I'm just going to play a little bit, and I'm just painting on regular printer paper. So, you know, but if we just add a couple of little things like this, it helps bring this up a little bit sharper. And then maybe something like this so that it attaches in here. And maybe, because I'm not sure if this tree is in front or behind or what. And if we get a little bit of, break some of this up in here, this helps to break this up a little bit. And we've kind of got a burnt sienna-ish color. Like up in here. Oh, that's the wrong color, but it helps to break this shape up, like what you did up here. So if we could bring, just so we've, this edge up here and these leaves up here, if we could have that down here a little bit more, that helps to break this up. I'm trying to. Because I don't know what the heck is happening over here. But this is attached a little bit better. And maybe if we don't know what's going on, if we just put a little bit more of the trees going in, that works a little bit better. See how this is attached more? And this is your original. This I played with in Photoshop, but I couldn't get straight lines and all of that, and I added a little bit more color here. But you can see how I broke this up, which is right here. This is so soft, and this got a little bit crunchier. And that's what I was trying to do in here. Okay. Okay.
Looks good. Cindy had to go. She was one of the ones who had to leave early. Remember?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'll remind her to go all the way to the end of the recording when she reviews it. She can see your changes.
All right. It was so much fun to see everybody's work, and you know, I wanted to do more, but there's just not a lot of time. And let's see.
So we have about 2 minutes, Guy.
Oh, okay. Well, this is the Dead Horse Creek. So this is Wendy's also. So I was talking about with Dale earlier, and so we've got so many different shapes, and we kind of want to link these up a little bit more. And then her question was about the log bed. We've got all these grasses, and they're all different shapes. So if we bring some of the color in our rocks so that it's not just a big shape, we're linking everything together. And this one, this is also the one who did the Gamble House. What all we need is just to go in here more. So we need, so everything is a big shape. Everything is painted equally. We just need smaller shapes in here and darker so that we can go into this. If this is a path and these are trees and everything. So we just need more in here so that we can go into the painting, if that makes any sense. And I guess that's all I have for the time that we have.
Been allotted, yes.
Yes, thank you. Words all of a sudden are escaping me. I'm no good anymore. I'm done.
There you go. Well, yes, the critique is an hour session. So I think you did a fantastic job, and getting everything in and getting everything to everybody. And so if you want, if you want to see this again, it is recorded. We'll be sending that out, and it's viewable by anybody. Guy, if somebody wanted your actual, if they, can't see the comments well on the video, would you be willing to forward that so we could give those to them as well, the ones that are in writing?
Yes.
That's a request.
Yeah. So they are in the Dropbox folder, and you have the Dropbox folder.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
So if they want to print them out or
Okay.
whatever.
All right.
So yeah, you have them.
Okay. Well, everybody, yeah, we thank you, Guy. Thank you so much. And
you're welcome. Thank you.
Yes, we're very honored to have you do that. So we appreciate it a lot. And if we may do this again, hopefully, if we get another guest artist. So look forward to that as well. And if you're brave enough, send me a before and an after.
Oh, you should be brave. Everybody should be brave. It's always so nice to see what happens is when I paint, I have an intention. I'm looking at my photo or I have an intention. And what happens is sometimes the painting is wanting to go in a different direction than what my intention is. And what will happen is I have a choice to make. I can either have a wonderful time painting and let the painting emerge, or I could be stuck to my intention and work that painting and it could be overworked. So I think it's so great to have some distance, and it's also great to have another set of eyes look at it. So anyway, so it's worth it. Be brave, put your work out there.
Yeah. So if you, again, to echo what Guy just said, send it to me by the 15th. Hopefully we'll be able to get it into the next newsletter. That would be awesome. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Guy. Thank you, Vicky, for helping out. Wonderful. Thank you to everybody who submitted. All right.
Right, thank
See guys
you.
later. All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.